guys. So one of the more challenging things that I think we deal with as educators is how to communicate in a really healthy and helpful way with parents. Parents can be our absolute greatest asset. I have a great relationship with my parents. I'm so thankful for the parents that I've gotten to work with. And I think that we actually have a lot more control over how that goes than maybe we initially anticipate. So I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks on how to establish a really healthy, really positive relationship with parents right away. There are going to be times where we struggle with parents for one reason or another. Maybe they don't like us, maybe they don't like our curriculum, whatever it is. But we can't control how the parents feel coming into a conversation with us. What we can control is what we do, how we communicate. And I have had very few issues with parents being mad at me because I try and make sure that they know that I'm on their side, I'm on the child's side, and more than anything, I want their child to be successful. And it's really hard to dislike somebody who's like passionately advocating for your child. So I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks on how to establish a really healthy relationship with parents very quickly. And when you start the year, send out a video. I know. You're like, I don't want to send a video. Send a video. Send a video. Do Loom. It's really easy to set up. You can put it on as an extension on Google Chrome. Record yourself. You could even do a slideshow and have your face really small if you don't want to have your face on the video. But go through some of your goals for the year. Tell them about your grading system, whatever, but make it like less than 5 minutes. Send the video to parents and do that along with an email that summarizes everything that your video said. That way, if parents don't have time to watch the video, they don't have to. You can also host it on YouTube as unlisted. So that way, not everyone can find the video. It'll just be the parents that you sent emails to. And that sets a really positive tone really early on in the year. Something I try and do almost immediately is if I have squirrely students, I send an email home or I send a video to that parent specifically stating things that I admire about their student, and they're always true. I never lie. It's always something that I'm like, I see that this kid is a leader, or I see that this kid has a lot of passion, or whatever it is. And if I can kind of tell this kid is going to be a little bit challenging to focus in class, I make that initial positive contact. That way later, if I have to contact the parent and be like, hey, he's not behaving well or she's not behaving well, it's not going to be an issue. They're going to be able to respond with positivity. And I always do that within like the first month of school. One of the ways that I avoid having issues with parents challenging the curriculum or any of that is I make sure that I give frequent updates to parents about what we're studying and how I'm going to be approaching it in class, especially if there's going to be sensitive topics, things that I think maybe somebody might have issues with. So I let them know ahead of time. I also let them know if there's going to be anything that I think maybe could be triggering or problematic. I always make sure that I say like, hey, this is the topic we're covering. If you're not comfortable with that, if they're not comfortable with that, let me know. I will find something different. Okay. Maybe not for the whole class, especially if it's something that's required for my curriculum, but certainly for that student, because we don't want to have anything that's not trauma informed in the classroom. So I always try and send out little videos, just updating, like saying, hey, here's what's going on in class. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I always send that out like every grading period at least, so that that way they're kind of like up to date on what's going on in the class. And it's just a quick way to keep parents in the know and help them feel like they're part of your class. This is my favorite thing to do. I love it. I love it so much. I send positive emails home to parents saying how awesome their kid is, because guess what? We love it. We love to hear that. As a parent myself, I love to hear how great my kid is. I'm like, yes, I know. I'm glad somebody finally is recognizing this, right? So it's one of my favorite things to do. I try and do it when it's a very specific incident that I can point to, not just your kid's cool. It's like, here's something that your kid did today and it was awesome. And I love them for it, and they are amazing. And thank you for being such a great parent and letting me teach your kid this year. And it's, that's one of those things that I don't usually plan that out, but it is something I try and do occasionally, especially if there's kids that I'm like, I'm not sure that everyone sees how great this kid is. Those are the ones that I think parents most appreciate because they don't always hear it. Obviously, there's the kids who get all the attention all the time, and it's not that I can't send emails to those kids, parents as well, but it's really fun sending it to parents of kids who are really quiet, are really reserved, but maybe are really hardworking. And it would be really great to be like, hey, I had my entire class who was really struggling, and your kid exceeded expectations and did amazing, and I'm so proud of them. Stuff like that. It's It's good to hear, and it helps the relationship with parents all the more. All right, so contacting home for behavior issues is probably one of the hardest things to do, usually because of our anxieties, right? Because we've probably done everything in our power and we're really frustrated. So the first thing I would say is wait until you're not frustrated. The second thing I would say is contact home via phone if you can. I hate making phone calls. I hate it. I hate it. It gives me so much anxiety, but do that first. If you can't get a hold of them on the phone, then send an email. But you need to be super, 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 super intentional about how you send that email. And I would highly recommend you blind copy your administrator and give them a heads up. Hey, I'm contacting home and this is what I'm going to say. I do that as a little CYA just to make sure that if the parent gets upset about something you've said, your admin is like already on board with what is happening. Okay. So you contact home and you start off positive. Okay. Remember, like with constructive criticism, you go positive, criticism, positive. You sandwich it in there so that it's just, it's not so much of a crap sandwich for them. I mean, it still is, but at least it's covered in some good, right? So you're going to say, hey, I wanted to reach out to you, let you know this is going on with your student, and something good, right? Like, I love the way that Tommy shares about his opinions and beliefs, blah, blah, blah. Thing that needs to be worked on. I've talked to Tommy on these dates, and you should have documentation. I know. You should document every time you talk to a kid that you possibly can, especially if you think you're going to contact parents. That way you can say like, hey, just so you know, I've talked to Tommy this day, this day, this day, and this day, and behaviors have not changed. I've done these things to try and adjust it. Here's what I've done to try and help support him. But he's still being super disruptive in class. So I was hoping you would be able to help me support him. Is there anything else that you think I could be doing to help support Tommy and his behavior in class? I open it up to the parents to give me ideas. I say, hey, this is what I've done. This is what's still going on. How do you think I can help support him? I am open to hearing suggestions. And then if they have a good suggestion, I absolutely take it, because maybe another teacher has done something different that I haven't tried yet. And so I communicate with them on that. I get their advice. I let them know what's going on. The tone of my email is always, I love your kid. I want them to be successful. How can I help them be successful? Do you have any ideas? It is not, come get your boy. I mean, sometimes that's maybe what I'm feeling, but my goal is always that the parent feels that I am on their side, I am on their child's side, like above and beyond everything else.